I just want to live, dude. I want to be allowed to be me, dude. I didn't choose to be born like this. I didn't choose to be a freaking white cishet male. I don't know who made me like this, but God, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Maybe I'll go cut my balls off, up my social credit score a little bit. God, we can't have any nice things. We build something cool with our homies, and we're problematic because we built some cool shit with our homies. What? I recently watched an Endymion video today, and I don't know. I'm not gonna say I was pissed because I'm so numb to this by now. Anyway, let's watch this video. Shout out to Endymion. I'll link his video in the description, but not a shout out to People Make Games, which already sounds super communist. Okay, and I'm sure it is. So, ew.
Hey, it's Endymion, and today a video has resurfaced surrounding the company Valve. You likely know them as the people in charge of Steam, which is the largest PC gaming platform ever. There's over 38 million active users per month on Steam, and it has pretty much created a bona fide monopoly when it comes to how players on PC play their video games. As the entire industry seems to be having catastrophic layoffs with over 25,000 people laid off in the last 2 years alone, the question has constantly been asked, how does the industry stop such bleakness from overrunning the entire games industry?
I know the answer to this one. Be problematic, because I know where this is going, right? You know where it's going. You can tell already. Valve is problematic. Guess what? They had too many white dudes, right? And they're kicking butt. Everyone else is super diverse. Layoffs. Problematic. Be problematic. Not to quote the Zuck, but prepare for some harmful content, baby.
Yet despite these layoffs, which for a large majority are tied to companies pushing products that nobody wants, and are usually tied to stuff like Sweet Baby, let's be real, Valve has stood unmoving and unshakable despite the industry's changes. And the problem—
Dude, shout out to Valve, dude. The fact that you're not going along with the rest of the industry, that's commendable, bud. That's real commendable. Respect. Respect to Valve, man. Way to go, guys. Way to freaking go. We're white and we're proud, dude.
The problem isn't that Valve isn't successful. The problem, according to what we're going to talk about today, is that it's too white and too male. So this brings us—
What? Bro, how can that be a thing? How can people who claim to be anti-racist say something is too white and too male? Is the NBA too black? It's debatable, I guess. Am I going crazy? How is that not racist? It is. It is.
To the channel People Make Games. It's spearheaded by this journalist type named Chris Bratt. Please don't harass him or anyone else included in this video, and he used to work at videogamer.com before he left to start up this very channel. Pretty much, People Make Games, or PMG for short if you don't mind, focuses on delivering documentary-styled content on the games industry. They aren't the first time someone has done this, and clearly, based on what I can see, PMG is doing rather well for themselves. One video they had, which came out in 2023, however, has resurfaced about Valve, the company. Originally, this video may not have been seen as bad. But with the current meta of the industry, the video has now been targeted for trying to paint Valve as a problematic company for no other reason than it lacks diversity.
How many companies have to collapse, have to lay off thousands of people, have to just flush all their money down the drain with flop after flop after flop? How many before you guys stop worshiping forced diversity? It's a crap religion. You guys need to stop. Meritocracy, that's it. Diversity should not be enforced, and it should not be denied. It should be a byproduct of meritocracy. Whether or not it exists is irrelevant, and it should not be an issue. It should simply not be forced and not be stopped.
We should watch a bit of this video before we talk about it. Hopefully this doesn't get copyrighted, but if you're watching this in the future and this segment isn't here, my bad. Anyways, here's a clip of that video.
Women work at Valve, or people of color, or non-binary folks, or those who identify as LGBTQ or disabled people, because, well, Valve is a private company and it doesn't need to disclose those numbers, and also it didn't respond to our own requests for those figures. However,
why would they? Why? Dude, we're doing stuff. We are doing things. We're building stuff. We're designing things. Why would Valve waste their time sending random demographics of their employees to a YouTuber? Who cares? They got better things to do, bud, than worry about what. than worry about telling you what's swinging between their employees' legs, if they're crippled or not, and what color their skin is, okay? Or who they have sex with. They got better to worry about, all right? Bud. Yes, how many non-binary programmers do you have? Do you have any disabled people making your products? I just... why does it matter? Why does it matter?
However, multiple interviewees that we spoke to described the company as having an enormous lack of diversity, even by games industry standards. Valve
Games industry standards. That's a buzzword right there, huh? So the only standard that the industry has is really no standard, and that's why everyone's getting laid off. So yeah, maybe don't go along doing the same things as the people who are failing time and time and time again.
Is, I'm told, extremely white and extremely male.
Right away, as you can see,
I wish I had some freaking pearls so I could clutch them. Oh my gosh. It's extremely white and extremely male. Basically hell on earth, dude. I can't imagine anything worse.
See, PMG makes a point to claim that Valve is problematic because, one, they aren't able to access Valve's employment history as easily as other companies. Need I remind people that Valve is not a publicly traded company. They're private. Which means
probably why they're not slaves to ESG investors.
They don't need to listen to nor pander to anyone on the outside or cave into pressure because they are their own bosses. Secondly, why would it matter that Valve has no non-binary, trans, or whatever else sort of employees? The existence of people like that are not a necessity in order to run a company proper. This stupid...
Correct, 100%. How would that improve their bottom line? Would that improve their efficiency? Would that somehow make their products better? Or does it just make them look better? Does it increase their social credit score, or I guess their ESG score, which they don't have, I guess, because they're private? What reason do they have to try to implement this kind of policy? What they're doing is working. They can see the industry standard that is failing. Why would they do this? And why is it problematic? White dudes for Valve.
Woke sentiment is a big reason why there have been so many industry layoffs across the board. Because people are not hired due to skill nor merit, but simply because they are things that have no basis when it comes to how they operate or perform within a task. Already, as you can tell, this video is annoying me, but let's keep watching.
I feel like they've passed a critical mark. It used to be that there were maybe 10.
What do you mean a critical mark? What do you mean? What does that mean? A critical mark? You act like you're on a spaceship flying towards the sun or something, and now you're stuck in the gravitational pool and you're gonna burn up, dude. These people, the way they talk, oh my god, they're so self-important and delusional. They literally have no problems, and they've made up these fake, ridiculous problems so they can feel special, I guess. I don't know, man. I don't know.
10 or 15% women in the development teams, so nobody was usually the only woman in the room. But definitely now, I think...
What's the percentage with bricklayers? Tell me that one. Plumbers, sewage men, garbage men. How many women there? Do you care about that number or no? That's okay for that. It's okay for that one to be all men, right? Okay. That's why I don't know, like, ooh, which industries, like, which ones did the women tag? Like, this industry needs to have more women. Now that one can be all men. That's fine.
I think they've dipped below that point.
Valve's structure is what makes it difficult to gain momentum on anything where the value add isn't immediately obvious to certain people, though. And that certainly
where the value add isn't immediately obvious.
Includes any project where the word diversity is mentioned.
A lot of contractors are female. That's not very unusual. The lower down the ladder you go, the more quote-unquote...
Bro, they made a whole ass animation for this. I don't know what's involved with doing something like that, how much time it takes, but wow. If it took more than like 5 seconds, not worth it, dude. Not worth it. Look at this. It's I feel like I'm watching like an educational video, but they're just talking about how many trainees don't work at a software company or whatever, at a tech company. Incredible. Amazing, really. I love the commitment, dude.
Quote, diverse it becomes. And the higher up you go, the whiter and male it becomes. While I was there was never more than one female programmer at the company.
Now here's where people really started to raise eyebrows and why this video garnered the attention that it did. Claiming that Valve has a diversity and gender problem is pointless because these things do not mean the company would be better off if they had more people of this type or that gender. as all of these websites and critics admit that despite the fact Valve is overwhelmingly ran by white men, that it is also one of the most important, powerful, and profitable companies in gaming as well, which unironically causes a self-own of mega proportions because these weirdos are admitting that what they are championing for, like forced diversity, more genders, women, etc., has no actual positive benefit on the corporate or financial status of a company, since Valve clearly disproves this.
It's so obvious at this point. It's kind of like painful to watch them still try to cling to this narrative. I just wish there was actually, like, if they were going to make these claims that diversity is a strength, because they always just say these fluffy phrases. Diversity is our strength. Diversity builds community. Based on what statistics? Based on what parameters exactly? I would like to see it. Show me some statistics, some studies, or whatever, showing that this actually increases profits. It increases efficiency. It increases consumer satisfaction. Don't be like, well, it's important for representation. These people here, like, no, it's not. I firmly disagree with that. When these things fail and they're like, well, they blame it on bigots. No. Where were these bigots when Black Panther, the first movie, came out? That movie was mid as hell, but it made a lot of money. So where were all the bigots at? This whole idea that you need to be represented, how are they not seeing? That's the most narcissistic thing I've ever heard in my life. This idea that you need to be represented, this is strictly, that's literally a social construct. Like, children don't see that. We put that dumb idea into their heads as we grow up. Representation doesn't matter. And it shouldn't matter. You should see a human and relate to the human.
And the reality of videos like PMG's here claiming that Valve has a diversity problem are for a few reasons, with jealousy and peer pressure being near the very top. I've said it many times, and I will continue to say it, diversity of skin colors and genders means absolutely nothing in a work setting. What people believe and how they think is far more important than what or who they are anyways. I really don't care what you look like, as long as the things you make are worth interacting with. Yoko Shimomura is an amazing composer who did music for Final Fantasy XV and all the Kingdom Hearts games, to name just some of her works. Her being Japanese and a woman has nothing to do with how I value her talent or her body of work. I simply enjoy her art because she makes good art. Her skin color, what's between her legs, and more, they have no bearing on my enjoyment of these things. But someone like this Chris Bratt of PMG would likely look at somewhere like Core Square Enix and go, this company is too Japanese, where are all the black non-binary people?
It doesn't matter. You should not matter. Diversity should simply just be a byproduct of meritocracy. If you put out good work, I'm going to want to consume your work because it's good, not because you are XYZ. That's it. I don't care. I don't know when exactly things shifted, but everything became so political. It's sad now. And it's people like PMG. Why do you need to know that? Why do you need to know the demographics of a company's employees based on their gender, race, sexuality, all the other disability status? Like, why do you need to know that? It shouldn't matter. I don't care if they're all white, blonde hair, blue-eyed Germans. I don't. If they're not discriminating against anybody, if they're not hurting anybody, I don't care what the company is composed of.
So what's going on here exactly? What is it about Valve that makes this problem even worse than at similar-sized games companies? Well, let's start here.
Oh my god, it's even worse. The problem is worse. It's so problematic.
As Valve states in its own handbook, it's not good at mentoring people. Nor does Valve have an internship program or a college graduate pipeline. And that's by design, because remember, its ideal candidate is a high-powered, self-directed, senior decision maker.
And the problem, in their eyes, was that there were too many white men working there. Again, they have a problem because the company doesn't have an even 50-50 split or whatever of men versus women. Yet we all know that if Valve was overwhelmingly ran by women, this video that People Make Games made would simply not exist.
Yeah, they wouldn't care.
But it's very clear that despite the fact that they have roughly 339 employees with only 79 of them working on Steam, that everything the company is doing is working as intended and runs smoothly. Which means that Valve clearly does not need more people or diversity within their company.
Why would you change things up for this nonsense ideology when you're out there killing it? Why would you do that? It makes no sense. Dude, this is such a destructive mindset. It's so destructive. Like, they'll ruin so many things that should just be guaranteed successes, that already have winning formulas in place, and they're like, nah, it's too white male, dude. Get that out of here. Check out this diversity formula, dude. Oh, how did that work for Marvel's Phase 4 and onward? How did that work out for Star Wars? How did that work out for Assassin's Creed? How did that work out for Suicide Squad? The list goes on and on and on. Doesn't work. You're destroying things that should work. You're taking out the winning formula and putting in a crap formula. Formula crap is what you're doing. It's ridiculous, dude. Stop it.
But Valve's success and continued momentum goes against pretty much every single tenet and marketing ploy pushed by woke diversity hires in the industry for about the last 10 years. Because these people, who I consider the real grifters of the industry, make their money creating problems within these companies like claiming that they're not diverse enough, and then offering their services to fix the problem they claim exists, which originally wasn't seen as a problem until these consultant types were brought on in the first place.
Dude, straight up, these like Sweet Baby Inc., these consulting companies, it seems like such a racket, dude. I don't know if there's any subsidies going to these games. I don't know why there would be, but is there like some kind of money laundering going on? Like, it just makes no sense. It really feels, unless someone is just straight up scamming these corporations and scaring executives, I don't know. I do not know. I'm not going to make any accusations. It just seems weird. Like, why are they paying these consulting companies so much money for work that they don't need to outsource? They could just hire writers, dude. Why do you need these people? Like, can't you see that their ideas aren't working? Come on, adapt and change. What you're doing isn't working. Do something else. Stop doubling down and doing the same thing over and over and over again. What is going on? That's the whole beauty of the free market, of private enterprise. You're supposed to be able to adapt. And if you don't, you go extinct. And I hope a lot of these corporations do very soon. I don't know. These consulting companies, something is very shady about their business model.
Doesn't need consultants. They don't really care for DEI and understand that the almighty gods of success are just merit and profit. Hire the best person for the job, not the most diverse. If you cannot land a job at Valve over someone else, it's simply because that person was more qualified. It has nothing to do with your skin color or gender, as PMG admits Valve has and still does employ women too within their company, which would speak more to the exceptional talents of those women if they were able to get into the company to begin with due to their talents, and not because they are simply women.
If a company is stupid enough not to hire a woman who is the best candidate because she's a woman, I don't know. I feel like if they're that dumb, they're probably not very successful.
Chris Bratt of PMG also had some tweets about this video that resurfaced that caused people to raise eyebrows and start talking, where he started by saying, Valve is also a company with a really significant diversity problem, with multiple employees highlighting how few women and people of color work there even by games industry standards. I'm told this issue has been getting worse, not better. Again, this is not a real issue. It is only a problem in the eyes of people who want diversity over merit to be rewarded. This is not a problem that actually matters for anyone who actually wants to make money. How could you look at the scathing landscape of the games industry right now, with studios shutting down, people getting laid off, which are all diverse and pushing for games that aren't fun or profitable over agenda, and then think that the genius plan here to fix this is not to do the exact opposite of what they're doing, but instead go down the same path as they have gone to? What would this accomplish exactly? Nothing is what. It's so insufferable, but Chris Bratt would continue by saying, some of this frustration boiled over following the murder of George Floyd in 2020. Many believed a public statement in support of Black Lives Matter was needed, but this was ultimately blocked in favor of a $10,000 payout to all employees for them to donate as they saw fit. So the issue here Chris Bratt tries to make is that Valve decided to not become politically involved with Black Lives Matter when George Floyd died.
This again is why I cannot stand liberals. They are all about forced coercion. They wanted to force Valve to make a certain statement about Black Lives Matter. They said, okay, well, we'll just give our employees the choice. We'll give them $10,000 each to donate to a charity of their choice. Not good enough. No, you need to do the one we're telling you to do. I don't know how they try to gaslight people into believing that they aren't using forceful coercion to try and control people, but don't listen to them. That's what they do. And it's so infuriating and disgusting. The idea that it's a problem that they don't want to be political. And not only that, so it's a problem if they don't want to be political, and it's a problem if they are political, but it's not their politics. Liberals, you guys are authoritarians. How do you not see that? Because you have rainbow flags on your backpacks? You have a rainbow flag shopping bag, so you're a good person? Is that all it takes to be a good person?
More companies should be like Valve. Keep the politics out of the workplace. Firewalk sure as hell could have benefited from this. Instead, they destroyed their studio with toxic political positivity.
Dude, yes, toxic positivity. Sometimes people need to hear that they suck, like for real. Like in a professional environment, you suck. You're not operating up to par. I get that you're a two-spirit person and everything, and that's wonderful. But you'd suck at your job. Either do better or get out.
Chris Bratt continues. As you'll hear in the video itself, Valve claims of all the people at this company who aren't your boss, Gabe Newell is the most not your boss. But when big political decisions need to be made, a hierarchy does seem to reveal itself. Given Valve's role as the owner-landlord of Steam, the world's largest PC games marketplace, how this company makes its decisions matters. That's really the driving force behind our whole report. So again, Chris Bratt lets his activism get in the way of his journalism. All you said, Chris, there was that Valve does not police its employees on what causes they want to support individually as people. But if people came together to demand that Valve got political on a topic like, let's say, Black Lives Matter, that its actual owners would step in and say no. And let's be real, that is for the best, isn't it? Because if Steam came out and stated we support Black Lives Matter, which has been exposed far too many times to be a grifting scheme operation.
It was definitely exposed, but did it need to be exposed? I mean, how many, you couldn't tell? Like, come on, guys. You couldn't tell that they were scamming? Black Lives Matter doesn't actually care about Black lives. Let's be real. They are absolute race hustling swindlers, dude. They are Al Sharpton. All they care about is exploiting black people to make a buttload of money. That's it. They want to keep people angry. They want to get people pissed off. They want to pit different races against each other, and they want to profit from it. Dude, it's mind-blowing that people fell for this with all the little black profile pictures on social media.
What benefit would Valve gain from supporting BLM? All it would do is drive a schism not only within the company, but the platform Steam as well. If Gabe Newell came out and suddenly said anyone who is white or straight on Steam must leave, or anyone that is conservative isn't suddenly welcome on Steam, heads would roll and profits would go into freefall. The point is that companies getting political do nothing but suffer and lose profits due to their moronic virtue signaling. Every single solution or suggestion that Chris Bratt of People Make Games suggests are key ways to ruin your business and then drive it into bankruptcy. If Chris was in charge of Valve, everyone would be non-binary. Nobody would be hired on merit. The company would balloon like pre-Twitter before Elon bought it, where thousands of employees did literally nothing all day on Twitter, yet they made six figures somehow.
That's for real. Like, that is so insane. So much waste. What do? They make all this money. They're a day in the life of a tech worker. What the hell do they do? I have no idea. I could not tell you. It's insane.
You don't seem to care about profits or the well-being of the people at Valve. You just care about virtual pats on your back because you seem to have a self-loathing hatred for yourself because you're a white male. And in my opinion, one of the most dangerous groups are the white men out here who hate themselves because they've been conditioned by others to believe that their skin color or their gender is somehow a bad.
This is wild though, because like, I mean, I'm a 90s kid, so I grew up in the 90s. I never felt that, and all my friends, like, we didn't grow up around that. That wasn't really a thing. At least, I mean, I grew up just outside Portland, Oregon, fairly liberal place, right? But I have a lot of friends that kind of turned into that. I'm like, what happened? Like, what were you guys doing? Who were you hanging out with as you got older? Because we hung out for a lot, and then I went in the Navy and effed off and traveled around the world a bit. But like, I don't understand what happened to them. I came home and I was like, are you guys my friends? Like, who are you guys? You guys are completely different. What the hell's going on? It's sad, dude. It's really sad.
Let's go look at Canada right now and how Justin Trudeau has resigned. You ask me, Trudeau and Chris are birds of the same feather. Loathsome white men who believe they are somehow the enemy.
All right, let's be fair. Trudeau, he's only half white. He's half Cuban. You know what I'm saying?
And must ruin everything because their liberal teachers have warped their brains into woke lunacy.
I know that point gets brought up a lot about liberal teachers and like college professors. It is insanely accurate. If you haven't gone to college, but that's a thought that you have, and you hear people that have gone to college or haven't gone to college trying to tell you, oh, that's just a rumor, or that's not happening. Dude, it's happening. I went to Oregon State University while I was in the Navy. I took online classes. When I got out, because I didn't want to move down to Corvallis, I went to Portland State University. Oh my God, what an absolute indoctrination factory that place was. And then COVID hit. They wouldn't let me take even online classes without a COVID shot. So I stopped going to Portland State. And eventually I went to George Fox University, which is a private Christian university. And even that was not all, it was way better than Portland State. There was still a lot of indoctrination going on because there were certain teachers in certain places, professors in places of, department heads or whatever that were controlling a lot of the curriculum. Dude, I had to compare The Handmaid's Tale to the Bible in that class. It was basically comparing the bad guy in Handmaid's Tale to Abraham. I really feel like that professor was taking some liberties with some of her claims.
But when your big brain move is to simply accuse Valve of racism with no basis or proof of such claims, then state that it's too white, knowing full well if Valve was primarily any other color or gender other than white male, Chris and his channel would have zero qualms with it. This is simply white subjugation being pushed onto Valve, because it doesn't want to reason with or want to align itself with the ideals of everyone else who is suffering because of their moronic decisions. It's as if everyone else is doused in gasoline waiting to be lit on fire, and Valve is there alone without an ounce on gasoline on them. And yet everyone else is looking at Valve like they are the crazy ones for not willing to be engulfed in all-consuming flames. You realize how stupid and crazy this all sounds, right? What People Make Games is pushing here is the same sort of rhetoric that kills studios, kind of like what Sweet Baby does too. This activism era needs to end. We already lost too much when it comes to games franchises.
Bro, can you guys go get personalities already? Like, this is so annoying.
And studios because of it. How many more Dragon Ages, Suicide Squads, Dustborn, Saints Row, and more flops do these people need before they realize this future they so desperately desire cannot and will never come to pass?
Well, it's because they keep blaming us. Like, they tell us the game's not made for us, so we don't buy it. It fails. They're like, why didn't you buy it? It failed because of your racism. What? First of all, I thought the modern audience, I thought you were the 99%. I thought you were the majority. Why aren't you guys showing up to buy these products? How is it that we're ruining it? If the modern audience is this evolved, educated, enlightened group of people that is massive and is the majority of the world, or at least the Western world, why aren't y'all showing up to buy these products?
Then there's this part where PMG speaks on how Valve doesn't have internship programs, nor does it hire right out of college, and here's what PMG says.
Its own admission, Valve only hires senior people. That compounds the issue, because part of making any field more diverse is that you have to start introducing diversity into it. Valve's not going to be one of the places that helps in that, because it doesn't hire junior people, which means your pool of diverse hires is even smaller to begin with, and it's going to be so much harder to hire someone who is a woman, or isn't white, or any of the things that isn't your average Valve employee profile.
Again, they prove exactly why Valve should never do this either.
The guy is literally making a case for how to fail. Do you want your company to suck? You have this really high-performing company. Would you like to make it worse for the sake of diversity? I think you should.
Valve is not a starter company. Working there is like getting the keys to the kingdom. Look at it this way, okay? Valve is like the level 99 legendary weapon with max stats and all the bells and whistles. Why would you give this ultimate weapon to a level 1 noob character who can't properly wield it, but instead feels entitled to use that weapon simply because they don't want to work to get to the level to when they are actually ready to wield it?
Like, God forbid there's like an elite level company, a company that's hard to get into, something that takes sacrifice and work and a high level of skill and a resume to back it up. God forbid that exists. Nope, you gotta get newbies in there that don't know what they're doing that are diverse. For what reason? I don't know. Diversity matters, I guess?
To allow these people into Valve would bloat the company, reduce productivity, and dramatically drive costs. A big thing these people never talk about when it comes to mass layoffs in 2023 and 24 is that a big reason that it happened in the first place is because these companies' costs were severely outweighing their profits. Back in 2020, when ESG money became easy to get, these companies were told that they would get these cash influxes as long as they would hire based on diversity and gender over merit. Since then, we've seen the catastrophic outcomes of these hiring practices.
Can we just let it die? It doesn't work. It doesn't fucking work, dude.
2020, companies bloated themselves up with cheap, easy hires because they believed the work from home meta and having as many people as possible working would lead to productivity and more things getting made faster. It then turned out this wasn't the case, and just having more people didn't mean anything because instead of having 30 highly specialized people who could work wonders, You now instead had 200 people who don't know anything that are working at a snail's pace.
Yep.
This, of course, ballooned losses, and companies couldn't keep up with the payments for these developers who clearly knew nothing and couldn't meet the bare minimum requirements for their jobs. Hence, the layoffs came, and many of these people hired in 2020 or around that time were subsequently fired because they were, for lack of a better term, dead weight for these companies. Now there's a mass layoff in the industry, but what it is to a certain degree is companies shedding the added weight they gained, so to speak, in 2020 from the false promises of ESG and DEI policies, yet Valve has remained static in these hires for years, and despite the layoffs, they stay the same. Which is important because, again, they are hiring on quality and merit instead. They have 300 or so level 99 legendary weapon developers, while a bunch of level 1 or 5 recruits are now crying saying that Valve won't take them in.
Sounds like a freaking skill issue, bud.
Let me put it this way, alright? Would you rather have one roommate in your house or whatever with you that splits all your costs? Rent, food, etc., electricity, all of that stuff. Or would you rather have 20 people in your house, each paying smaller amounts yet requiring more food, wasting more energy, taking up far more space in your house?
Bro, Endymion, you're kind of killing it with these metaphors, bud. You like spend all day just kind of thinking up ways to relate this? His metaphor game is on point, baby.
And making it generally a nightmare to get anything done in your house due to the sheer amount of people that live inside of it. That is what is going on here.
So yeah, thank you, Endymion, for making that video. Thank you for all the videos you make. You are a gentleman and a scholar. But yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Thank God there's companies like Valve. I don't know anything about the inner workings of Valve. Maybe they are a crap company. Maybe it's terrible to work there. Whatever they're doing is making them a lot of money, apparently. Why would they listen to people that don't know anything about building things, about making a company successful? Why would they? All these people care about are optics, surface level virtue. That's all they care about. Anyway, that's all I got for the video. Let me know what you think. Do you think Valve is awesome? Do you think Valve is in the right? Do you think PMG is in the right? I don't, clearly, but let me know what you think in the comments. And do you think this era will die, hopefully in the next 4 years? I'm so done with this crap. I hope it dies this year. Let me know what you think. Fingers crossed. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.